Good morning. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere south of a nation who just elected who? My name's Brian Engelman. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. And this is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media. Thank you all for joining today. If you're watching live on Facebook, hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts button. I'm going to share this to the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, Strictly Browns. I'm going to share this to Strictly Cavaliers. I'll put this in TNAM Preparedness, the Agree to Disagree Show, and TNAM Fake News. All of these groups are going to get streaming because we're going to touch on the Cleveland Cavaliers just super quick to just give you an update on what's going on with the NBA playoffs. I'm a mega fan of the sports teams, my Cleveland Cavaliers, of course. I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hour. If anybody wants to support the program, we have sets of 4 wooden Ohio-made coasters. They're $30 a set for 4. Includes shipping. Just shoot me a Venmo and include your address. If you're getting one of these, I'll put the donation links at the bottom. Just include your address. If you want one set of coasters, say circle coasters. If you want Ohio-shaped coasters, type Ohio coasters. And then there's a pin. Only 100 of these will be made exactly like that, so they're collectible. Those are $25 a piece. That includes shipping. So it's $30 for one, $50 for one of each, or $75 for all 3. Just shoot me a Venmo at Brian Engelman. My name is spelled below. But yes, we're just going to touch on what's going on in the world of sports. I will do a standalone sports show very soon. We did 11 hours of broadcasting over the weekend for the NFL draft. My Cleveland Browns, of course, at the center of things yet again. Yet another season, yet another center of the universe situation for the Cleveland Browns, as they were the team that broke the fall of Shedeur Sanders. You know, that was a wild story. Worst take of the day award was anyone who wanted to bring race into it. I am completely fed up with having race pushed down my throat as if I were unconscious, passed out on a couch at a Diddy party. It's about how I feel every time this happens. It's a gross, disgusting feeling. It's abusive. It's manipulative. It's unwanted. It's unnecessary. It's destructive. It's divisive. It's awful. No, Shedeur Sanders wasn't taken because he acted immature. He acted like a clown. And that's actually kind of a little bit what Baker Mayfield was busted for. You know, I guess it's a fine line. I'm a bit of a clown myself. I've been doing stand-up comedy now for a few months. And I like having fun. And I like going places and goofing around and bringing out different energies and attitudes. But you know what? That doesn't rub everybody the right way. But Shedeur Sanders had a list of teams he wasn't even interested in going to play for. So he went and either ignored them or gave them one of the worst interviews they've ever seen. And it backfired as 5 teams passed on him. But, you know, over the weekend, you saw people saying, oh, that's because he's a black man. Huh? We are talking about NFL, right? We're talking about the National Football League, where Cam Ward, a black dude, went number 1 because of how he carried himself and because of his skill set. That's called meritocracy. We will cover another sports story today about another black athlete, this time in hockey. You think, what's the opposite of, you know, not a lot of white players in the NFL, not a lot of black players in the NHL. Well, there was an international hockey story where a man used his skate, either intentionally or accidentally, you can watch the video and determine for yourself, and ended the life of another player. We have an update on that case. So we're just going to do a quick buzz through some sports real quick. We're just doing a daily show. We're going to talk about sports and weather and the news of the day. Oh, here's your weather update. Last night it was dark. Today the sun has come out. Your weather is local. Scroll to your phone app, tap on the weather thing, and see what's going on and get an idea of when it's going to be wet or not. Okay? There are some days you might need to hunker down in your basement. I had to do that somewhat recently. There are some days you're going to need to know it's going to be soaking wet. That's also super important because I had to go mow the lawn yesterday and I did not feel like doing that. I did it because the next 5 days are going to be super wet and I wouldn't have the chance to, and then it would be too long. So be aware of your local surroundings. I'm not really doing weather. Although that was when I used to do the B&B radio show in college. We do 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and say, and now for the weather report. Looking outside, it's dark. And for the next few hours, it's going to remain dark. But in a few hours, the sun will come up and it will become light. That was the extent of it. I just talked about the lightness. Like the lightness of someone's skin when it comes to a football player or a hockey player. It's irrelevant to the stories. Please stop clowning yourself by trying to insert race into every topic, every chance you get. I understand we're emerging from 2 decades of the Obama doctrine, the community organizer, agitator, community agitation, learned from the likes of Rainbow Push Coalition, the Al Sharptons, the Jesse Jacksons. It's power and control, it's manipulation, it's dominance, it's making the other side shut up, sit down, step out of the negotiations. We're going to run roughshod over you, and you should feel ashamed about who you are and the positions you hold. So just be quiet while the adults are going to make all the important decisions and distribute the money as we see fit. That's been the Obama doctrine in a nutshell. So I understand why it's permeated the sports culture. I wish it never did. I don't care about Colin Kaepernick, except that I thought he was playing pretty well when he went to the Super Bowl, because he was. And then I watched the league, the NFL, kind of catch up to his pistol formation stuff. They figured out how to defend him, and he was much less effective. As time passed from the Super Bowl year, in the subsequent performances, he got injured. He wasn't as effective. He wasn't as fast. He wasn't as accurate. He wasn't getting the job done. So he wasn't offered a big contract, and he tried to turn it into a race thing. And Nike, to back him, to really push this stuff. And Obama was involved. Nike was involved. ESPN was involved. It was a coordinated push. You saw Bubba Wallace. You saw Juicy Smollett. All these hoaxes, some of them sports, some of them entertainment. LeBron James had a fake race graffiti hoax on the garage door of his house. I believe it was during the playoffs when maybe second year playing Golden State with Kevin Durant. I don't know, 2018 maybe? 2017, 2018, something like that. I don't know. No evidence, just the accusation remains. And then you'd see LeBron James out there. Every time there was a story to tell, he was pushing. It was almost like he was getting a text message with the comments. All right, I want you to go out and give a press conference about, I want you to tweet about this. It's hard to believe that somebody was misrepresenting so many stories so consistently during the Obama doctrine era. But it really permeated the sports culture in a way that I'm uncomfortable with. I'm unhappy with. I don't know. LeBron maybe sees himself as a modern day Muhammad Ali. I'm going to take a stand against going to fight in a war, maybe come home in a body bag for a cause I don't believe in. Yeah, I think you have every right to opt out. Conscription, being forced to go serve in the military, that's not something I believe in. But LeBron James, you're trying to manufacture this massive political movement And for a while there, you did seem invincible. You, your team, the Democrats, the lying legacy media, ESPN, ABC, Disney. Everything was a full court press to just push, push, push. We also have an update on the what's her name? I can see her, Riley Gaines. Remember when she had to compete against a man? There's an update on that. That's a sports-related issue. So we'll just cover sports at the top of the show here, and then we'll get into the rest of the news. So let me just jump into it and pull up this page here. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, however you are watching. Yeah. All right. So this hockey player who was arrested in 2023 regarding the death of Adam Johnson won't face criminal charges. Can you believe that? Did you watch? I guess question of the day, did you watch that video? To me, it seemed obvious that it was an intentional act. Maybe reasonable people could have differing opinions, but it certainly seemed intentional to me. Let me pull up. Actually, here, let me just share this. I'll give you this story. I can't believe this is the update we're getting.
Well, kind of to here, let's just remind you of a story that dated back a short while ago, an ice hockey match where somebody died following a match between the Sheffield.
Somebody died following a match. That's one way to describe it. Somebody was sliced in the throat with someone else's skate.
Steelers and the Nottingham Panthers. We've heard from the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, that they are not going to bring criminal charges against the professional ice hockey player following the death of...
What professional ice hockey player? You're not even saying his name? You're not in the bottom. You're not even saying the deceased player, Adam Johnson's name. What report is this from Sky News?
Adam Johnson.
There we go. Adam Johnson, the deceased.
That is Adam Johnson that you can see there. He died during this match between the Sheffield Steelers and the Nottingham Panthers. The deputy chief
died during the match. You're not telling us the story. He was sliced across the throat when the dude raised his leg like a ninja kick to slice him. Ooh, what a terrible
Crown prosecutor
report.
said it was a shocking and deeply upsetting incident.
Shocking and deeply upsetting doesn't begin to describe this.
The CPS and South Yorkshire Police have worked closely together to determine whether any criminal charges should be brought against the other ice...
Hold on, multiple agencies worked together and recommended not charging this guy?
...hockey player involved. But following a thorough police investigation and comprehensive review, there is not a realistic prospect of conviction for any criminal offence, so there will be no prosecution. Our thoughts remain, they say, with the family and friends of Adam Johnson. So no criminal charges to be brought against a professional ice hockey player following the death of Adam Johnson.
They didn't show the clip. Show us the clip. Right here. He raises his leg. Oh my gosh. Ugh. He's trying to. Oh man. He's right. That is not a hockey move. That's the reply. This is not a hockey move. This was an attack. You know, and this story involves a white player and a black player. And it doesn't matter. Like almost every other story. Hang on, are you seeing this large enough on the screen? What doesn't matter is what the people look like. What does matter is what we're witnessing. He raises his left leg. I mean, that's like a flying karate kick. This is not. Now, this is just clipped to the very final second, so let's be. Doggone it. Let's watch the whole play here. He's skating over and he's getting ready to make contact with his left shoulder into somebody else. Hang on, let's reset it. Ah, and just it killed him. That was his life. So he's skating up to the top. He pushes out with his left hand. Then he continues forward. Hang on, let me see if I can slow this down. I don't know if I can do frame by frame. He's skating. He sees him. He winds up. Look, he extends his left hand and pushes. Why does that left leg go up? He hits the right leg of the other player, and this leg comes up. This is not a hockey move. You don't see people raising their skates up to the head levels of players. Ugh. I don't get it. I For the life of me, I don't understand why this guy isn't facing charges. David, you agree he should be charged. It's on video. Agreed. I don't understand what we're watching. I don't understand why he's skating free. I just don't get it. 0 charges. Intentionally kicks him, slices his neck, and ends the life of this young man. I I covered this when it happened. I was furious when it happened. I'm upset now. I mean, you see Daniel Penny have to face charges. You see Kyle Rittenhouse have to face charges. People that are acting in self-defense almost obviously have to go and face charges. Have their lives totally upended. They didn't want any part of these problems. And they have to face charges. Why isn't this guy facing charges? Anyway, that's a story in the sports world. Matt Petgrave. Matt Petgrave cleared. British prosecutors. Great Britain has fallen. Great Britain is completely upside down. Maybe as upside down as Canada. Maybe as upside down as the US was until a few months ago. In 1,000 different regards. But this is terrible. And if you read through the commentary, it's hard to understand how you don't protect a fellow hockey player, except for the fact that there's a racial disparity. Once again, the only person shot and killed on January 6th was Ashley Babbitt, a young, white, veteran mother killed by a black man. Got away with it. It doesn't make sense. An unarmed, that was the only shot fired that day. Many have argued that that shot was unnecessary. It was an unnecessary escalation of force. But hey, you know, what do you say when you see your shot? Shoot your shot, right? See how it goes. He never had to face charges. Feel like he should have had to face charges. Believe he got a pay raise instead. Very interested to see how the rest of that investigation in J6 pans out. But this is shocking that this hockey player is getting away with this. I watched this in slow-mo. I don't see how you're pushing. He's winding up. He knows what he's doing. He ends this young man's life. All right. I don't want to dwell on this much more because it is infuriating. I told you my take on Shador. some of the worst. Let me switch. I'm not- Some of the worst takes in sports have to do with race. I mean, how irrelevant can things be? Fairly. You judge every story based on the merits of the case. You're not supposed to care what people look like. That's what I try to do with every story. Like what we do here on the Unhappy Hour sports show, what we do here on the TNAM AM show here, what we do on the Agree to Disagree show. Let me put the links where you can follow the New American Media, by the way. If you're not only following us on one platform, please get another platform to follow us on. You can subscribe to our podcast, the Agree to Disagree show, and the Unhappy Hour on Spotify and Apple. We're on X at American_media_ and the Unhappy Hour _ And find the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Just search the New American Media. Just going to buzz through this, and we're going to get to our top stories, by the way. Thanks for being with me at the beginning part of this. And as soon as the sports show content is over, you can tune out if you don't want to hear about the news. I get it. Some people are triggered. I don't get it. I've always been interested in the news. I get how it's presented. I get why it's unpleasant to consume and watch and how it can be negative. But I'm trying to change that a little bit. And I'm also just trying to tell you accurately what appears to be happening. I sift through the news on a daily basis so that you don't have to. Although, never believe anything I say. Go check your own. Check into any story that looks interesting. Double check. Don't ever take anything we say for fact. Okay, just buzzing through this. The Cavaliers, look, they won by, what was it, 55? 138-83. I mean, the Cavs are looking like the clear best team in the league, although the Thunder also won, closing out their series. So the two number one seeds have advanced. I mean, maybe it's going to be a Thunder Cavs matchup that we were hoping to get with LeBron and Kevin Durant back the first go around, but we might get it now. We'll see. Can't count your chickens before they hatch, of course. The Nuggets and Clippers are tied at 2. It's a best of 4 series, so the next team to win 2 games, Nuggets or Clippers, will advance. Lakers, now everyone else is a 3-1 series. Lakers trail the Timberwolves 3-1. Oh, LeBron and Luka on the verge of elimination. This will be interesting in Minnesota. Look for a big game out of LeBron. And look for J.J. Redick to maybe sub some of his players out. He burned everybody out, and they were exhausted by the end. Golden State pulled out a really close win. So the number 7 Warriors are up on the number 2 Rockets. 3-1. Celtics are up 3-1 over the Magic. Knicks are up 3-1 on the Pistons. And Indiana Pacers are up 3-1 on the Damian Lillard-less Milwaukee Bucks. Torn ACL. Might miss next season. Unfortunate. And then I guess just Major League Baseball. I haven't checked this in a while. Just check the standings, see how things are shaking out. Yankees, Red Sox, Rays. All kind of at the top of the East there. Yankees ahead. Detroit's got a 2.5 game lead on the Guardians in the Central. Mariners, Astros, Athletics playing okay. Pretty close in the West. Mets and Phillies are up in their Eastern Division. Mets ahead there. Cubs and Reds doing well in the Central. Giants, Dodgers tied in the West. And that's essentially all I wanted to talk to you about with sports. Like I said, 11 hours of content discussing the draft and talking football was great. I should be doing a show with Mike Barra soon. Got to just double check when that's going to be, another episode of Strictly Football to kind of look at what we learned in the draft as we rebuild our teams. Okay, let's jump into the stories here in the news. Here, hold on. Let me go back. Refresh. All right, that didn't refresh. Hold on. Try this again. Okay, it's not working. Why isn't this working? This was working. This happened the other day as well. I click on. Okay, Rumble's not working either. Wow, we're having a wonderful technology day. Are we even streaming on Rumble? It shows that we are. All right. Let's share you this tab instead. I don't think that can be accurate. About my account started December 14. It's not showing the stories. What is going on? Instagram, yes. All right, it's not working. No, it's not. Highlights. Or that highlights. All right, I don't know. Let's show you this one. All right, there is today's show. All right, Benny Johnson here talking with Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton, and they urge the Trump administration to prosecute Fauci, Milley, and the J6 committee regardless of
not a practicing Catholic. I just wanted to get your take, perhaps, off the top here on the Pope's funeral, President Trump using it as almost like a world leaders summit, which I think is incredible, bringing peace maybe in Ukraine, using the Pope's funeral to do that, which is awesome, and then Joe Biden's weird obscurity there.
You know, fundamentally, non-Catholics may not remember this or realize this. The Pope is a priest. And so this is a mass in celebration of a priest and his life. And I didn't agree with him on a lot of things. I think he confused the faithful, which is terrible. But obviously had the respect of many in the world. And to have his funeral result in peace efforts, that speaks well of, divine intervention. And
yeah, can you trust that Ukraine and Russia actually want to stop punching each other? It doesn't seem like they do. I hope they do.
And those who recognize the moment and trying to take advantage of it, meaning Zelensky and President Trump.
Yes. Was this like an unnecessary L for Joe Biden? Again, if we could just pop up, Joe Biden did nearly fall. I think they had to make up some hoax about Donald Trump's blue suit when about a.
It gets so exhausting, the fake stories. Oh, Trump didn't wear a black suit to the funeral. He's such a clown. It's like nobody that is to wear a dark suit. The amount of fake stories that come out, it's kind of why I gloss over so many of them. I just don't have the bandwidth to care about every leftist hoax anymore. I just don't. They lie so consistently. I've just tuned them out.
A quarter of the people there were wearing blue suits to cover up for this, because this was just embarrassing, man.
Well, Joe's an unpleasant guy, and he's not going to be cast.
Anyway, this video goes on a little longer than I was hoping it would. I thought they'd get to the point a little quicker, but in this conversation, they say Adam Schiff, Milley, and Fauci, all of those pardons are null and void. Prosecutions should proceed as if they are invalid. Still trying to see if we're streaming on Rumble. If anyone can see if we're streaming on Rumble, leave us a comment, please. Anyway, we played you this, that no criminal charges will be brought over the death of Adam Johnson by Matt Petgrave. Astonishing story. Cannot believe this is real life. Even if you put the story out there, even if you put him on trial and he's found to be not guilty, that's one thing. But to not even give the prosecutors a chance to prove what appears to be an obvious attack? The boot blade during a crunch match. The video is plain to see, while perhaps, what is this? Daniel Concannon says, the entire event was broadcast. The video is plain to see, and while perhaps there's no way to prove that it was the explicit intent of Petgrave to kill Johnson, his actions were clearly deliberate. So while the case can be made that Petgrave was too stupid to realize that super kicking another human being in the throat while wearing hockey skates could kill them, that theoretical stupidity cannot exonerate him of the responsibility for killing Johnson. With the killer being black and the victim being white, the mass media did what the mass media always does and immediately launched a worldwide narrative campaign in which Matt Petgrave, the killer, was the victim. Despite the inexcusable nature of what Petgrave did being captured on video, the media quickly dismissed it as a freak accident and focused the coverage on mean social media messages from people who were angry that Petgrave committed a near beheading in front of an arena full of hockey fans. Never mind that Petgrave's pre-existing reputation as the dirtiest, most reckless player due to his years-long history of multiple suspensions and his status as the #1 most penalized player in the league. No mind the dead white guy who the entire world watched bleed out from the neck in his final moments of life. Poor Matt Petgrave is the real victim here. No black man should have to endure the unimaginable horror of mean tweets just because he sliced someone's throat open and killed them. You disagree? What are you? Racist? And I'm reading this from the side here. This is the words of Daniel Concannon. But this is how stories are covered. There's a track meet. Oh, the perpetrator stabs a twin in the heart? Well, clearly the killer must be a victim. Maybe the guy said something mean to him or told him to do something or talked to him or approached him or confronted him or tried to tell him what to do. Well, he'll show him. That's when keeping it real goes wrong. It's the Dave Chappelle skit acting out in real life. Let me be crystal clear. These stories are about two humans doing things. The fascination with giving a shit what they look like is vomit-inducing. I have been to many hockey games. I don't recall ever seeing a flying leg kick like this. It's not a hockey move, but the guy who did it has a reputation as the most dirty player in the league. And the penalty minutes, a unbiased look at penalty minutes will show you. A consensus of referees agrees that he's one of the dirtiest players in the league, and he probably should have been banned from the league. But he was allowed to keep playing and slice this guy's throat. Would he get away with it if the races were reversed? What if on January 6th, a white woman shot a black man? The hyperfixation on the demographics of people involved in cases blows my mind. I can't for the life of me understand it outside of the Obama doctrine. That it has just been crammed down your throat. Like I said, like an unwanted Diddy parting gift. Like a Harvey Weinstein casting call. I don't understand how we've reached this place. I wish we could go back. Headline after headline omitted Petgrave's name. They were protecting him. Dozens of articles omitted his photograph or published only zoomed out shots of Petgrave in full hockey gear, making it near impossible to identify that he's black. It magically became a skate that killed Adam Johnson, not a black guy named Matt Petgrave, who was well established as the league's most malicious player. Just like a red SUV committed mass murder of white people at a Wisconsin Christmas parade 2 years earlier. Not a black psychopath named Daryl Brooks, who had a history of anti-white posts online. And I only care about the race in this story to point out how one-sided the reporting has been. How you will always get maximum outrage over Colin Kaepernick. He didn't get a large contract. He got benched for Blaine Gabbert. They're so unfair to him. Shedeur Sanders, they were so mean to him. It's probably because of what he looks like. Huh? No. It's because of what they do, how they act. If you're known as one of the dirtiest players in the league, maybe there's like Minka Fitzpatrick. Should have been banned for life for blowing out Nick Chubb's knee like that on the Steelers. I don't care that. Perfect example. I don't care that Minka Fitzpatrick is a black dude. I don't care that Nick Chubb is a black dude. It doesn't matter what the people look like. The actions are Bush League. The actions are bullshit. The actions are trash, and you call them out as such. And if you're withholding being honest because, that guy looks kind of like me, you've lost the plot. You are out of touch. You are off base. You've been indoctrinated and abused mentally in a way that I am sincerely sorry for, but I hope you can break free of it. You have to judge people by the content of their actions, not the color of their skin. That was the message that we used to get taught prior to the Sharpton, Jackson, Obama doctrines being crammed down our throats. Well, if we accuse people of all sorts of things, we'll get more power and control and money. So let's do it every chance we get because it's a foolproof method. No, it's not foolproof. No, it's not foolproof. Eventually, it's first they went for the gypsies, but I wasn't a gypsy, so I said nothing. A lot of people just put their head down and go, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to talk about this. I'm going to get in trouble. Someone's going to start yelling at me. I'm going to get in trouble at work. I don't need this hassle in my life. Fine, whatever. That's your narrative. Go with it. And it just keeps escalating. The progressive movement just escalates every step of the way. And it progresses to the point of crazy. It progresses to the point where somehow, some way, the media, the lying legacy media, are running cover for this dude in a lot of assumptions, perhaps accurately. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's 100% foolproof as a theory, but it does kind of check out that certain people are given a pass and other people, I don't know, everything they do is Hitlerian, I guess, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The friend of my friend, we must attack that enemy. Okay. But you run out of people to point the finger at when three are pointing back at yourself every time. Oh, you're a jerk. Oh, you did something wrong. You did. Oh, okay. Well, look, you got three pointing back at yourself. So when a red SUV commits a mass murder of white people at a Christmas parade in Wisconsin, and it's not reported as a black psychopath who has a history of anti-white posts, once again, the only reason race is relevant in that story in Wisconsin is because the killer has a strong racist psychopathy that led him to mass murder. So it becomes relevant to the story. But no, that was the red SUV did the killing. It's bending over backwards to never point or try to say anything malicious about somebody based on the color. What type of pigment do you have? Let me determine how much of a monster we can turn you into. Humanity, you've got to do better. Anyway, this Daniel Concannon continues. Slain Adam Johnson was an afterthought. The system had a new pet to protect and yet another glorious opportunity to tell white people that we're evil for believing our own eyes instead of the system's anti-white fairy tales. As I write this, I pulled up 10 articles covering today's story of no charges being brought against Petgrave, all published this morning. Only 3 of them contain a photo of Petgrave at all. And only the New York Times ran his photo immediately along with the headline. And for that, they unearthed a photo from 2010 in which Petgrave appears racially ambiguous and not clearly black as he does in every other available photo. If you were only glancing at headlines and top photos, the two things you see on Google. Yeah, by the way, use X. Don't search on Google anymore. They're not a sponsor, X, but it's a much better search result. Headlines and top photos are what you get on Google. There would be no doubt in your mind that the killer was white because, aside from the New York Times intentionally ambiguous photo, every top photo for articles about the black killer is of Adam Johnson, the white victim. That's not an accident. That's not a tribute. It's meticulously crafted anti-white psychological warfare. 2 weeks after the event, Petgrave was arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. But today, a year and a half later, authorities in England have officially announced that no charges will be brought against him. Of course, the system did what it does. The system protected its pet. And if any white person in England posts a normal human reaction to this news, the system will kick down their door, arrest them, charge them, convict them, and imprison them for their words, all while Matt Petgrave skates free. Englishman Sam Malia received a 2-year prison sentence for printing anti-immigration stickers. Black status enjoyer Matt Petgrave goes uncharged for a partial decapitation resulting in death. You can avoid the obvious and call it a two-tiered system, or you can just call it what it is. Anti-white. This is Matt Petgrave. This is Adam Johnson. And what do they say? No. UK police arrested a man on suspicion of manslaughter following the death. The media, no name, no face, and it's a white perpetrator. See, right here in the image from Dextero, there's a white person with their hands behind their back getting arrested. That is intentionally misreporting the story. And by the way, this is one of these stories. Let me say a couple things crystal clear. I don't know Daniel Concannon. I'm just reading what he felt he wanted to say in this story. I'm not endorsing him. But I will say I read an article from Fox yesterday. Actually, let me see if I can find it. It was Jalen Hurts and Fox White House. They reported a story. I'm scrolling. I can't seem to find it. Oh, hold on. Because Fox had a story. Let me share this one. Fox said Jalen Hurts not going to the White House due to scheduling conflict. And I said, BS. I'm not buying that. And then later it was like, oh, no, it's because he's on his honeymoon. I'm like, well, come on, Fox. I called Fox out in the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. I said, guys, if he's not going because he's on his honeymoon, don't make it seem like he's not going because he hates Trump. But let's check this video out, by the way.
Are you planning on visiting the White House next week?
Scheduling conflicts. Just a few days ago,
Well, why are they talking over him?
Jalen Hurts was asked by Time if he would attend the White House visit, and he avoided giving a clear answer.
Well, I can't buy that because you didn't let him talk. You talked
Now,
over him. What did he
it's
say?
official. Hurts will not be joining his Eagles teammates. The team cites of President Trump. A lot more political or about making.
Well, if I can't find that video, I can't buy either one of these. And you have every right to not go. But a lot of players did, and Saquon Barkley went, and that's really good. Because there's so many fake narratives being pushed. What is this? The Philadelphia Eagles. It doesn't say anything about Jalen Hurts. They made an official statement. Yeah, like even some of these stories you try to get figured out, it's hard to actually figure it out. That video did nothing for me because it didn't let him talk, and it's putting a spin over top of it. Okay, is this one? Here we go.
Are you planning on visiting the White House next week?
Looks down to the right, looks over to the left, looks at someone else and gives that smile.
Got it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Are you
Okay, well, maybe they talked over him because he gave his answer without giving his answer.
planning on visiting the White House next week?
Got it.
Thank you so much.
How weird that he just ignores her. Now I'm wondering if that was the actual question that was being asked. He's allowed to not go, but it's kind of like how things are being reported that counts. And if you know stuff and you're intentionally covering it up and you're trying to steer the narrative, it's just it's not great. Anyway, more sports stories. Some days it's all politics, other days it's a whole bunch of sports, but anyway. It was good to let me take this off the screen. I shouldn't have been sharing this screen. I want this one. All right. Let's keep it flowing here. Nine more boxes of Biden's documents have been found in Boston. Are you aware of this? Let's just go full screen here. Check this out.
Fox News alert. We are learning that 4 more boxes of documents were seized. 9 more boxes of documents received from the office of Joe Biden's attorney up in Boston. According to the librarians who took the boxes, these boxes actually came from the Penn Biden Center. They were moved across state lines to Massachusetts before the search last November. The search that they kept secret until after the election. And now they're being held in a secure area at the JFK Presidential Library in Boston. We're told no one's opened the boxes yet, but all 9 of the boxes moved from the Penn Biden Center before the search and have now been found. Fox News alert. We are learning that 4 more boxes of documents
I want to
were
know what's
seized.
in the boxes, people. I want to know what's in the boxes. I think after going into Mar-a-Lago and raiding Melania's wardrobe, we need to know what was in those boxes, especially since since Joe Biden wasn't authorized to have that stuff. That was from his time in Congress. He did not have top secret clearance for that. Need from you. Whoop, here we go. Let's listen to Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO, talking to Congress about data centers.
What we need from you, if I may say that directly, is we need energy in all forms, renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there and it needs to be quickly. People are planning 10 gigawatt data centers. Just to do the translation, an average nuclear power plant in the United States is 1 gigawatt. How many nuclear power plants can we make in 1 year where we're planning this 10 gigawatt data center? Gives you a sense of how big this crisis is. Many people think that the demand of energy part that our industry takes will go from 3% to 99% of total generation. One of the estimates that I think is most likely is that data centers will require an additional 29 gigawatts of power by 2027 and 67 more gigawatts by 2030. Gives you a sense of the scale that we're talking. These things are industrial at a scale I have never seen in my life.
And so that's going from 3% on data centers to 99% of total electricity consumption. This Philip Johnston says the only way to meet that demand is data centers powered by solar in space. So let's keep our eyes on this energy story. The return to nuclear. Oh, what is the new one called? Phase 4 or something? Let me ask Grok. I know it, but I don't know it. Phase 3 or 3rd generation. Okay, I'm clicking Grok. What is the current nuclear power plant called? Like third generation or something like that. Generation 3. The current nuclear power plants. Okay, I was pretty close. Generation 3. I called it third generation. Advanced reactors, enhanced safety, efficiency, and waste reduction compared to earlier Generation 2 plants. Some Generation 4 designs, like small modular reactors, SMRs, and molten salt reactors, are in development but not yet widely deployed. Okay. So just keep your eyes peeled on energy and energy prices too. I don't understand what happened with new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. I don't know. I don't understand it. David, how did Pierre Poilievre lose his lead and then get kicked out of your parliament? Wasn't he your Trump? Wasn't he your common sense guy? Did he only get thrown under the bus because he started attacking Trump? David's our dude in the comments section here. He's up in Ontario. It is Ontario, right? Am I remembering that right? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get how Canada got rid of Trudeau because he was so bad, and then you elected someone just as bad, a World Economic Forum puppet. I was getting excited, like, oh, good, maybe we'll have a good neighbor to the north. Trudeau was ran out of town because they hate him. How do you put him back in? How do you put another version of him back in, another globalist puppet? Anyway, new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says we have an enormous opportunity to bring climate change into the heart of every financial decision. We can deliver the net zero world you've demanded and that our future generations deserve. Yeah. Tanking your economy because of what the sun is doing is not a great idea. I don't know what's happening. I believe this as well. I'm not buying it. How did he go from the clear front runner, Pierre Poilievre, now, and he lost his seat? Now he's kicked out. This reminds me of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, America's sheriff. He was doing El Salvador chain gang. You're going to come into my state and mess around with my citizens? You're going to have a bologna sandwich on white bread and water, and you're going to wear pink, and you're going to sleep out in a tent in the desert. You want to come in here and mess around, you're going to find out. But he was taken out. And then you saw one of the best political minds I've seen. Carrie Lake. I don't know, political minds. Just she presented herself very well. She said a lot of things that seemed to make a lot of sense to me. And I thought she was one of the better candidates the Republicans had churned out in decades. You know, top couple hundred candidates of the past couple decades. And she loses twice? You wonder just how rigged things could be in Arizona or in Canada or in Brazil. You just wonder. So David says something tells me things were being fixed a certain way. That's going to get rough in Canada. Indeed. Wall Street Apes put this out. This is Health and Human Services Director Bobby Kennedy talking with Joe Rogan about the chemicals going into the water.
Probably the most disturbing endocrine disruptor, and this is something we should all be looking at, is atrazine.
What is atrazine?
It's in the water. It's a pesticide. They took atrazine and they put it in a tank with 40 frogs. They put it below the exposure levels that EPA considers acceptable to humans. They were all male frogs. 30 of those frogs were chemically castrated. 4 of them turned into females and produced fertile eggs.
Toxic herbicide found in many Texans' drinking water. That's from 2018, November 20th.
And we're subjecting our children.
Oh, doggone it. And there's music in the background of this video, and it's going to get flagged for copyright by YouTube. I hate YouTube so much. You want to put a little marker at the bottom? Fine. Advertise whatever this little piano piece is, but it's supposed to be just generic background music. I'm playing this video to listen to these people talk. I keep saying this when I go on YouTube and I appeal. I appeal all the copyright claims. I'm like, guys, this is fair use. I'm a news source. I'm a news outlet offering original commentary on this conversation.
Children to exposure to that every day. You know, what does this do to sexual development in children? Nobody knows, because we know what it does to frogs.
Nobody knows what it does to humans, but we know what it does to frogs. And that's a fair take. James O'Keefe.
What's up, everybody? This is James O'Keefe. Emergency journalism press conference time. I'm in the car, by the way, to the airport. I'm always coming and going to airports. You've all seen this Elon Musk interview. There's one particularly overlooked part of this interview. I'm going to play this one quote by Elon.
What I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them.
That's remarkable because a couple of whistleblowers and insiders were so inspired by him saying that. They were on the verge, they were on the fence of blowing the whistle, of giving the information, and now they're willing to do it as a result of what Elon said. Big things coming at OMG. We're producing a lot early next week. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody?
Stay tuned. Yes, check out yesterday's show. Biden's broken border built back beautifully. Check out yesterday's show. And now here's the Reddit story. Let's dig into this for a little bit. This is the cover story for today's program. Hit like, hit subscribe, by the way. The Invisible Puppet Masters. AI's disturbing new role in shaping minds. The revelation that University of Zurich researchers secretly deployed AI bots to manipulate Reddit users' opinions should chill anyone who values authentic human discourse. These weren't merely passive observers, they were digital persuaders that analyzed users' personal histories, fabricated identities, and crafted arguments specifically designed to change minds. Like, at what point? You know, I'm kind of wondering how long I have been engaging with bots. Fake people. There's several in a lot of my groups. I got thousands of people in my 30 or 40 groups. And I wonder, some of them are fake. I don't think some of these people are real. I really don't. Maybe that makes me crazy, but I don't think some of these people are real. David is saying that Mr. Pierre Polivier is part of the establishment. He is. He's agreeing that it's crazy that those toxins are in the water. I concur. So what's most troubling about this University of Zurich research? Finding that they secretly deployed AI bots to manipulate Reddit users' opinions. They succeeded spectacularly, achieving persuasion rates 6 times higher than normal human interactions. This experiment crossed critical ethical lines. Without consent or disclosure, researchers unleashed bots that claimed to be rape victims, misrepresented religious teachings, and spread misinformation about controversial topics. These digital ghosts generated over 1,500 comments, each precisely calibrated to exploit cognitive vulnerabilities of their human targets. We've long worried about social media's echo chambers. But what happens when those chambers are deliberately infiltrated by increasingly sophisticated AI systems who have been trained on the very platforms that they're manipulating? Oh, well, coming soon to X near you, right? Meta? Oh, Meta's been playing with your brain forever. There were lots of reports that they're manipulating rage bait to give certain groups of people, they'd log in and the first few things they would see would just be something to anger them. A beating video. Hey, what's better than a white on black or a black on white crime? Am I right? If it bleeds, it leads, baby. We all feed on tragedy. It's like blood to a vampire. Vicarious by Tool. Vicariously, I live while the whole world dies. You all need it too, don't lie. Very interesting song, Vicarious by Tool. But it worked. It worked on the advanced AI systems. The advanced IA worked on the very platforms that they're manipulating. So Reddit's recent data sharing deal with OpenAI suggests that we're actively providing the training material for ever more persuasive digital manipulators. Reddit moderators rightly condemned this unauthorized experiment, but their discovery came months after the damage was done. How many other digital conversations are currently being shaped by invisible algorithmic hands? There's your Reddit story. We'll just say beware of bots. And if you don't know what that means, well, now you do. All right, let's keep it going here. Had to share something about Ryan Day, the Buckeyes. Russell Brand here. I think this is him. Let's listen.
Virginia Giuffre was one of the most
Well, yeah, we'll play this BBC report because it's important.
prominent accusers of
Virginia Giuffre. Here we go.
Virginia Giuffre was one of the most prominent accusers of Jeffrey Epstein. Western Australia police say they're not treating her death as suspicious.
The death of Virginia Giuffre is going to divide people. Many of us were deeply suspicious when Jeffrey Epstein ended his own life while in prison. And as is often the case in these extraordinary and epochal events, the video footage the surveillance cameras would have provided was for some reason not available. You will be aware that in Washington there was an extraordinary lack of available footage when that plane crashed into the Pentagon. What's going on? Weren't the Trump administration meant to be about disclosure and revelation? Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that. Virginia Giuffre, everything about this is suspicious, says Russell Brand. She told doctors, therapists, and even posted publicly, I'm not suicidal. She was injured in a suspicious car crash weeks ago. Police instantly ruled out foul play. Virginia exposed elites. She named names, and now she's gone, just like so many others tied to Epstein's network. To treat this as unsuspicious is, in itself, suspicious. Yeah. Well, let's listen to Eva Vlardingerbroek about what's going on in Western Europe, at least yesterday.
Okay, I don't want to sound super alarmist here, but what the hell is going on? In Spain, Portugal, and parts of France, the entire electricity grid is down, meaning obviously nothing is working because in our modern day and age, almost everything that you can imagine is electricity powered. Think traffic lights, think the airports, hospitals hopefully have generators, but imagine the sheer chaos that is unfolding in those nations right now and the lives that it will probably cost. What's going on? Is this a cyber attack or is it something as innocent as grid failure? Because if it is, it should make us think twice about the net zero agenda that is pushing towards full and total just electricity powered functioning of society, essentially, because they want to get rid of anything fossil fueled. Scary. This is Europe 2025. We should be a developed continent and 3 major countries have zero electricity right
And that's a point I want to make. David is saying about Virginia Guffrey. They took her out. It's obvious. Maybe so. One of the lessons I'm taking away from the Pacific Palisades fire, an area I'm very familiar with, having lived out in Los Angeles for a while, and I actually worked in property management and had properties in that region, all over the place, all over Southern California. And that's, like an hour north of Los Angeles, or, depending on traffic. They said that the water mains, when they were damaged, they were all connected to each other. So when one failed, they all failed. There needs to be some sort of a redundant water supply system. Just design it, figure it out. Smarter minds than me can do it. But get a couple different pumping stations and have an emergency one that you can pump in for fires. Maybe every house should have cisterns that capture and retain a certain amount of water that you can spray on your house to keep it from burning up next time. Put rooftop, fireproof shingles, and build fire sprinkler, fire prevention into the next version of your house. I mean, it doesn't have to be the most, it doesn't have to look aesthetically unappealing. It doesn't have to be super expensive. It doesn't have to be ultra complicated, but there's ways to build back better, right? But what they said is like, oh, well, there was a break in the water line, and so none of them could. It wasn't because the reservoir was dry. Okay, well, why don't we have a redundant water supply system? That if you try to pull from one area and it's empty or it's broken, that it snaps it off and it pulls from another location. Now, maybe it's super advanced technology we haven't ever thought of, but we should. And when I'm talking about category 4, level 4, generation 4, there we go. Generation 4 nuclear power. Well, these are small devices that handle smaller outputs for smaller regions. Like, can't we have an electrical grid with more redundancies and overlap, like a Venn diagram? The oval will overlap over top of each other, so you don't end up without power. It's 2025, but we're still vulnerable. Like maybe only the Amish will be able to survive it. It's important that we have this figured out. And unfortunately, this was another reminder that the grid could go down any minute and society would change instantly.
Right now. I hope this gets fixed soon because, like I said, we have to pray for the people there because chaos erupts very, very soon when everything stops working.
All right, agreed. Dr. Interracial. Well, okay. Is this a racial take? Here he is talking about the 12 active duty service members who got busted by immigrations and customs in Colorado.
Okay, we heard about the 12 individuals, active duty service member that was arrested by ICE in Colorado. Active duty, number one, you must get permission to work outside your military duties, and you must be granted permission to do so. Then we got to look at the bigger picture. What MOSs did those 12 individuals have? Did they work in S1 personnel, S2 intelligence, S3 operations, S4 logistics? Then you talk about armory. Now, when you talk about armory, you're talking about somebody have access to, they have forms to fill out for weapons, night vision goggles. A supply sergeant can manipulate the forms and order extra parts for that. So this is going to be much bigger than what we think it's going to be. It's not going to be just 12. Then the thing about it is those staff sergeants, squad leaders, platoon sergeants, platoon leaders, company commanders, they all going to be on the carpet tomorrow morning explaining why they did not know where their soldier was working after hours. This is going to be crazy. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to expand bigger. Then you got to look at it too. Who had knowledge? And talking about the 12 that was captured, think about the ones that probably didn't show up for work. So it's going to get bigger. And I'm going to tell you, with that blotter report, there's going to be some head rolling. And I'm going to tell you, they deserve every bit what they get. because they should not have been supporting a known terrorist organization. Prostitution. It's a sad day in the military, but we're going to make it right.
Keep your eyes peeled on it. This is going to get weirder before it makes more sense. 12 active duty service members busted by ICE. General Mike Flynn says, it breaks my heart when I learned there were active duty military part of the human child and drug trafficking underground network. America is #1 in the world for child trafficking and slave trafficking. 1 in the world. It's absolutely brutal and horrific crime. For what it's worth, I'm for the death penalty for any adult who abuses a child. The Amuse account puts this out. TDA members employed more than 12 armed active duty U.S. soldiers protecting their underground club engaged in human drug trafficking in Colorado Springs. Army CID has custody of the soldiers working for the designated terrorists. Unreal. So when I tell you, time out right here. When I tell you that our power grid is sketchy at best, when I tell you that up to 30 million military-aged men, illegal alien invaders, have been flooded into the United States as potential sleeper cells to activate. Don't know when, don't know why, don't know by who, or maybe it's just going to be a battle royal, WWE style. Everyone fighting for their own reasons. You've got 12 active duty members working with the human trafficking ring in America, in Colorado, people. So don't tell me that the potentiality for real bad stuff happening, oh, that's not a thing. Stop it. Oh, you're being paranoid. Why would you waste your time worrying about that? This is why I worry about that. This is exactly what I've been talking to you about. This is a drop in the bucket. This is one of a whole bunch of things going on. Real Roberts said 60 Minutes facilitated the overthrow of the United States government on November 3, 2020. Now arrest her. Arrest all of them for the crimes of fraud, election interference, racketeering, campaign finance violations, and conspiracy for the overthrow of the United States government during the 2020 presidential election.
House. It was hard administration. Bill proved
about the guy that got booted, but did he deserve to get booted? I mean, based on what he did. By the way, for health and election countervailing views, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Because they think 2020 was a free and fair election. Yeah, the people that work there are traitors. 60 knives and America's back every show. But by the way, no arrests. It's kind of interesting. President Trump is working to do what? Well, apparently he might be negotiating for peace. Have you heard this one?
You just shared on your social media about the great news for Africa. Can you tell more for the African people? Everybody's so excited.
We do. We have a great news, I believe, coming up with Rwanda and the Congo. And I think you're going to be seeing peace in Rwanda and the Congo.
Rwanda and Congo. He's hopeful they're going to get some peace arranged there.
And a few other nations right around. And that would be a terrific thing. So we hope that's going to happen.
And also your administration will invest over $6 billion to the Angolan Lubero corridor that will basically transport minerals, critical minerals from Congo, Angola, and many other countries.
We're looking to do some nice things and keep it peaceful. We're going to keep it peaceful. Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you.
All right, so let's keep our eyes peeled on Rwanda and Congo. Michael O'Keefe says they're not putting this back in the box. Ireland is rising. Ireland has been invaded by non-Irish. All of Europe is under attack, under an invasion of non-citizens. And I mentioned earlier how in the UK, if you post something online that you don't want people that are not from your nation to come in and take over your nation, then you're getting arrested. I mean, we're arguing with fake bots on Reddit, but then when we're trying to talk about legitimate issues, we can't even discuss the issues. America dodged a massive bullet in Butler, Pennsylvania, and on November 3rd, 2024. Long way to go, though. Long way to go. Good luck, Ireland. Maybe you'll get Conor McGregor. I don't know if he'll do a good job, but he strikes me as a fighter. And you better fight for the independence of your nation, or you're going to lose it. I think it's cool that nations have their own identity. And when you go move into another nation, you assimilate and become a part of their identity. You know, I moved within the United States from Ohio to California. Yeah, I was still a Cavaliers, Indians, Browns fan, Buckeyes fan. But I ingrained myself into California culture. I didn't just go and try to recreate Cleveland and start a pierogi shop and only speak Cleveland. Speaking Cleveland. I wonder what that would be like. Yeah, all of Europe is being invaded by the Obama doctrine, just flooding the nation so that there is no individual sovereignty. You have no identity. You have no power, no control, and you're taken over. It's an overthrow. It's colonization. It's the Obama doctrine. Riley Gaines says that a man going by the name of Anna swam 5 events at the U.S. Masters Swimming National Championship. He won them all. It's a real-life South Park episode. And I don't understand why we're still doing this. For the life of me, I don't get it. Trying to make sense of it. I know, David. Here we are into another week, and really nothing has changed. I know. I'm trying to be positive. Oh yeah, Thomas Massey's trending. Let me tell you what he's in for. So yesterday they voted on Take It Down Act, a bill that would impose federal criminal and civil penalties for publishing unauthorized, intimate pictures generated with AI. I'm voting no because I feel this is a slippery slope, ripe for abuse and unintended consequences. So there you go. That's also about revenge porn. If you're in a relationship and you take some video with somebody and then you're done in that relationship, maybe it's not a great idea to post that online and like, I'll show her, I'll show him, I'll embarrass him, I'll put this stuff everywhere. You know, if you're not intending to release something commercially, you really shouldn't have to suffer if stuff is released by somebody else without your consent. And here they're saying he stood with predators, not patriots. Had nearly unanimous support from Republicans and Democrats. So there's 2 different ways to spin this story. Eric Burleson was the only other 2. Massey and Burleson were the only 2 to vote against the Take It Down Act. You know, usually they say if something's bipartisan, run the other direction. But, you know, Massey, the regular contrarian. Sudhir says, you welcomed them with open arms in the name of multiculturalism. They are destroying your culture and your religion for Sharia. Wales Church has been burnt down by 2 Pakistani nationals. Now, I don't know if this was intentional or accidental. I don't know if 2 Pakistani nationals were the reason. I don't see a link to the story. They're not referencing a story. But there's a lot of accusations that the people who are invading these nations are attacking these nations. Sleeper cells. Invaders. an overthrow, a coup, a revolution, a foreign invasion. All right. Well, the opposite of an invasion is sheriffs and the rule of law. Here's a sheriff, I believe. I can't see the name here. Talking about sheriffs going to the Oval Office.
4 years in the last, before you took office, we begged the president to see us, and we got nothing but silence. And we were sleeping. I understand. And on the day, even before you were elected by the people and took office, you said to us as sheriffs of this country that you will stand with us, and you'll be with us, and you'll help us on that border. And sir,
He's saying for years you said you'd stand with us and support us on that border. He goes, for 4 years before you took office, we begged the president to see us, and we got nothing but silence. That's, I believe, when they were laughing.
Done more than any of us could have imagined in less than 100 days. And we just want you to know how much that means to each and every one of us, and that we, in return, and you know this, we will stand with you every inch of this battle. 4 years in the last, before you took office, we begged the president to see us.
There you go. So there you go. And once again, when you get into these stories, it's hard to understand what we're looking at. Not sure why this kid is attacking this bus driver, but he's blasting him right in the face, and the guy's sitting down taking it. Is it a school bus? Where is this at? The comment was just, imagine that bus driver. Imagine being that bus driver. Any action risks getting fired or branded a racist or even jailed. A sane society wouldn't allow this. Well, once again, the theme of this show is, I don't particularly care what people look like. That could be a white kid punching a black driver. I don't care. This is garbage. Now, what is the beginning of this video? Could there be something that sparked it? Yes. But what I'm trying to do is walk you through the approach of how, when you see a video, I don't see what happened before this video started. Just like anything, really. But the George Floyd story, right when the officer went up and knocked on the, or I believe he knocked on the window, and he was behind the wheel of the vehicle, he was instantly either panic attacking or overdosing or having a medical incident with his heart. Something was happening. He couldn't breathe. He was agitated. He was flustered. He was expressing verbally that he was having problems with his breathing right there. And you watched him. He got out and he was kind of all over the place and seemed like he was potentially super high, maybe overdosing, and saying that he couldn't go back to prison. He couldn't go back to jail, and I can't breathe, and saying all these things. And then he was arrested, handcuffed, and put into the back of a cop car. And he's saying, don't put me back there. I can't go back there. You can't put me. And it's like, okay, well, you're arrested. You go back here. You're going to take. And he wiggled out the other cop car door that was open. He went from one side of the vehicle to the other and got onto the ground, which is where the knee was placed, at the top of the neck, the top of the back, the shoulder, the neck area, that whole general area. And the guy expired. How you're supposed to watch video, which, by the way, for the track meet killer, the Carmelo killer, the stabber, we don't have any video that I've seen. So how can you have a super clear idea of what you're even arguing? You don't have the details. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse was different. We had video, and I dug into it. I looked around, and I figured out what was going on with the help of a few others within half a day, within hours. And we were giving you a pretty good analysis of what appeared to be a obvious self-defense shoot 3 times. So as you're watching this video, I don't know the context. I don't know where this is at. I don't know when this occurred. I'm having a hard time fathoming what it means. What scenario could make it okay for a kid to punch a bus driver in the face, regardless of what they look like? I don't know. I don't, unless there's something in the comments here, but yeah, the comments section. It's as bad as you would expect. Anyway, just scrolling through the news here. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, says we can't stabilize climate until we get to zero net emissions. Hey, good luck, Canadians. Kyle Becker says net zero is how much wealth you will have after these communists implement their global climate scam. Oh, YouTube hates hearing that climate scam is a climate scam. So go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov for countervailing views on that. I feel like such a child. Marilyn Levitt walking up and down here looking at all these arrested Maryland men, says Tim Pool. Murder, sex offenses, assault on a child, assault with a gun, and abuse, and all sorts of things. Like, I'm trying to avoid the algorithm. You can't even talk. You can't even talk online without triggering the algorithm. AI is our new god. We worship at the altar of AI. Anyway, I like what they're doing because these are the people we're getting rid of.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
These people should have not ever been. Most of these people could have been blocked from entering the country in the first place with a simple background check. Many of them. And that's the common sense reform we're demanding, not asking for. Anyway, here trying to debunk the narrative about this judge. Well, here, let's just listen to this.
A judge was arrested, correct. And we've seen in this country, irrespective of vocations, plenty of people arrested for felonies similar like that. It doesn't matter what your day job is, guys. What matters is your behavior. And if you engage in felonious or illegal conduct, you're going to be arrested. It is laughable to me that they are somehow insinuating, and their hundreds of viewers are thus receiving the message that a judge was arrested for refusing to comply with President Trump's or the law enforcement agency's executions of the orders. That's not what happened. A judge was arrested for breaking the law. And I would love to see, final thought, an interview, not with talking heads or bleeding liberals or any of these people, but I would love to see
bleeding heart liberals, she meant to say.
The interviews
or bleeding liberals. That's
of those two victims, the one who was almost beaten to death and the girlfriend, so they can testify as to how it feels to have the perp be let free because someone has a conscience. I find it despicable.
Super despicable. She has a message for Scotland. We showed you Ireland.
Scotland, we're fucked. Ever thought about flinging shite at the moon? Because I think you'd be better off than expecting anything to change in this country. And I'm glad we can all have a laugh. But apparently, the thing that makes us Scottish, that spirit that we all share, well, it seems to me, Scotland the Brave has become this thing so rare that we allow these politicians to destroy everything we hold dear, nod and agree, moan and beg, and vote again in another 4 years. Let's vote for a different coloured jacket and make our way through the colour palette, setting ourselves up for more misery as we make another trip to the ballot. But vote or no, the position remains, we are knee-deep in the shit, and instead of fighting back or speaking up, we've decided to just wade through it.
Anyway, music's coming in, so I'm going to stop it. You guys making these messages, please know that when you use music, it triggers the algorithms and it limits your distribution. I am so sick of dealing with YouTube and Google on this. She's telling Scottish men, if you don't fight back, then Scotland is effed. Stand up and fight for Scotland and make it Scottish again. It's an invasion. You know it. We all know it. We all see it. Okay. Oh, here's what I was trying to show you earlier. Part of it. NFL superstar Saquon Barkley seen exiting Marine One with President Trump. This might seem small, but stuff like this goes a long way. Media-driven stigma around Trump is fading, and the public are no longer afraid to support Trump. We are healing. They went golfing, and as you're supposed to do, you know? We are healing. It's been so much division from the dirty deep state Democrats. So much division. Bad Hombre reposted this, but I got to kind of get you to that story first. It's a little out of order here. Kevin Sorbo says any person who said the vaccine stopped transmission should be fined $900 million for misinformation, just like Alex Jones. Do you agree or disagree to that? David, you said, I'm trying to stay positive. Well, I appreciate it. I'm trying to stay positive too. It's not always easy. Definitely not always easy, but I'm trying. President Trump says when tariffs cut in, many people's income taxes will be substantially reduced, maybe even completely eliminated. Focus will be on people making less than $200K a year. Also, massive numbers of jobs are already being created with new plants and factories currently being built or planned. It will be a bonanza for America. The External Revenue Service is happening. How nice is that? Krista Monroe types, you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and the IRS robs you like a cartel. Trump's External Revenue Service flips the game. You keep your paycheck. Foreign imports get taxed, not American workers. If you're mad about this, you don't understand. Here's the truth. They hate the idea of you being free. They need you taxed, broke, and begging. Not anymore. External Revenue Service, starve the system that hates you. So we'll see. Oh, Chuck Todd, you don't dislike this guy enough. Here, let's take a listen to what he's saying. They are trying to gaslight you about what the media did about Joe Biden this whole time. Don't let them. Do not let them get away with this.
This is not a media failure.
Yes, it is.
This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. David Ignatius wrote, I just refuse to accept this stupid premise because it's a right-wing, manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media. The media's got plenty of things to attack them for, and there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden, but they're not journalists. They're former strategists that carried water for Joe Biden. The journalist, David Ignatius, wrote a very high-profile column in October of 23 saying, is he really running again? This doesn't seem like a good idea. People like me were promoting Dean Phillips's campaign because he was running
Wall Street Journal did a bunch of coverage.
So it's not like this. This isn't WMDs, where the White House worked with the mainstream media to manufacture a story that did not exist. That was a press failure.
Say that one more time.
Not like this. This isn't WMDs.
Oh my God. You don't hate Chuck Todd enough.
Where the White House worked with the mainstream media to manufacture a story that did not exist. That was a press failure.
That is hilarious, Chuck Todd. What about the 51 intelligence officials who committed treason to smear Trump and run cover for Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Burisma, and all the corruption right at the spot where we're poking the nuclear bear of Russia, trying to provoke World War III? That was a manipulated story by your deep state, NBC being right at the top of it. Do not gaslight us and try to pivot and no. See, it's all about the Republicans and weapons of mass destruction. Oh my God, they knew the Hunter Biden laptop was real, that it was confirmed, and they lied about it just to help their team win. And they know it, and that's a press failure. Press was so pot committed, they lost all objectivity. And that's exactly what they did with Joe Biden. They knew Biden was cooked in 2019, in 2020, and it only got 4 years worse from there. They absolutely knew. They were doing this as an operation to keep Orange Man Bad out of office. Don't let this guy change the subject.
Massive press failure. This was not that failure. This is an attempt by some to virtue signal.
I love how he's trying to co-opt the virtue signaling. No. It's your team that virtue signals. Thank you.
And it's this horrible sort of pitting different news organizations against each other when ultimately the people...
Look at him trying to say the Democrat establishment, that you two are so intertwined, you're just scrambled eggs. You are a part of the... Hang on. What did he say? Chuck Todd, MSNBC, NBC, you are a part of the deep state Democrat Party. Your eggs are scrambled. There is no separation between the two of you. You are one and the same.
Some to virtue signal, and it's this horrible sort of pitting different news organizations against each other, when ultimately the people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, every elected member of Congress.
That's hilarious, blaming everybody but himself. Get out of here, Chuck Todd. Tom Homan talking about the border here.
I hear it all the time. There's a lot of people in this country who don't like me. I don't care. But when I walk through an airport, I have many people walking up to me and thank me for what I'm doing, and I'm not taking credit for anything. The success of the border and immigration enforcement is President Trump and the men and women wearing that uniform. God bless each and every one of them. But I take a pleasure in seeing it because in 40 years of doing this job, people always want to say, why are you so emotional when you testify? Why are you so emotional on network? Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years, they'd understand why I'm emotional. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old, raped multiple times by the cartel members. And then when you get to your knees and you talk to that little girl and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her, when you listen to the Laken Riley, 17 minutes, that young lady fighting for her life, don't just think, okay, a young woman died. Think of how she died, the terror that she went through, and these children that are sexually assaulted. I stood in back of a tractor trailer and 19 dead people at my feet that baked to death. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. And so every sick person we take off the streets, especially child rapists, it makes this country much safer. Every illegal alien we arrest, public safety threat, one at a time, makes this country safer.
Data Republican says, of course, illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. Ask my followers who were denied SSDI because someone stole their identity to work illegally, and the courts refused to fix it. The government simply turned its back on them. Identity theft via illegal immigration is built into the DNA of Washington, D.C., but it's okay because it enriches the right people. Unreal. Tommy Robinson admin post says the UK police literally don't come out for burglaries anymore. 150 stabbings a day in the country now. Now, I don't know if these numbers are accurate, but there's a lot of stabbings. Yet they send officers twice in one night, once at 2:30 in the morning, to tell a mother to delete a social media post.
I ask that you remove said videos from social media.
No, I don't think I've broke the law, so I don't think I will.
And also, I want to advise you that you might well be committing offences under the Malicious Communications Act, okay?
Oh, 2:30.
This is terrifying.
In the morning. Can I ask why for a second time tonight you are disturbing me and my son in my home?
Yeah, because there's I've been made aware there's videos that have been posted onto social media, including those that were made this morning.
This morning? What made this morning?
And of my officers that have been round this evening.
Right, and?
So I'm here to kindly ask that you remove said videos from social media.
No, I don't.
Nutty. So the 60 Minutes thing here, despite this sob story by Scott Pelley, says Chicago One Ray, 60 Minutes producer Bill Owens was told to resign because he was who oversaw the editing of the Kamala interview that led Trump to sue them and Paramount for upwards of $20 billion. And now they can't merge until they pay Trump? Love it. Well, let's keep our eyes peeled on the 60 Minutes story. Let me run a search. The merger. Let's see what that's referencing. So Bill Owens resigned from, I guess I could share it, but Bill Owens resigned from 60 Minutes because he could no longer produce negative hit pieces on Trump. His bosses were finally providing oversight of the bias in the reporting because they need approval for a merger. LOL. That's from KK Bird on X. Jim Pfaff says 60 Minutes lied about Kamala Harris. They lied about Joe Biden. No amount of reshaping the narrative can change that. Bill Owens was not dedicated to accuracy. Anna, quit whining about the merger. That's the excuse they want to mask their lack of ethics.
World covered combat.
Our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Not since Mike Wallace in the 90s with the big tobacco investigation has 60 Minutes went public about their journalistic independence from their parent company. Wow. Complete BS. 60 Minutes was bought and sold long ago. Their stories became manipulative, intentionally misleading, and they deceptively edited. They forfeited all forms of balanced perspectives in journalism. They were shills for a single paying party. Not truth, says Anthony Dorman. American legacy media is garbage, says Guard American. Paramount now owns 60 Minutes and recently ran afoul of President Trump. Paramount is trying to complete an $8 billion merger with Skydance, with the Trump administration must approve. Trump broke 60 Minutes. So let's just keep our eyes peeled on this story. I'm looking for some updates on this. I find it interesting. All right. Unbelievable, says Charlie. Yeah, check this out. Watch this. Watch what MSNBC does here.
White House has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants.
Look at this. These arrested criminals, they're blurring their faces. Remember, why do I do what I do? As if there's not enough news out there, enough people offering hot takes and unpacking the news each day. Yeah, I know there's plenty of places to go find it. This story connects to the other story, the Matt Petgrave story, where they would not tell you who the person was. They would not show you who the person was. They are literally blurring the faces of the criminals that had their mugshots printed into signs so that you could see all of the criminal, illegal alien invaders who have been preying on Americans, who have been called to account. They've been removed from general population so they can't harm another person. And they're trying to show you the good stuff. Look at that. That's great. Fewer people to abuse Americans. Who could be against that? The lying legacy media could be against that. You do not hate these people enough. Just like Matt Petgrave, they are blurring the image just because it doesn't fit a narrative that they want.
Who have been arrested for violent crimes. You can see them there. They put them up on the driveway of the White House. If you look.
Charlie Kirk, unbelievable. MSNBC actually blurred the mugshots of the rapists, drug dealers, and murderers on the White House lawn. Find you someone who loves you the way Democrats and their media lackeys love violent, illegal criminals.
Look here. That's the West Wing just at the forefront, the executive mansion itself to the left. But what's particularly noteworthy about this location is it is right directly behind the positions where TV correspondents do their hits from the White House lawn. So therefore, no matter what network you're on, that includes MSNBC, if you're doing a hit from the White House right now, those pictures will be behind you. The White House doing a briefing in about a half hour about what they're doing here. Maria, your response to this image.
So I have to say, one of the biggest challenges that we have with the deportations that we know of so far, for example, with Kilmer Abrego Garcia, we don't know if they've had due process. We don't know if, in fact,
twice adjudicated,
these individuals do have a rap sheet. So I would encourage those.
You don't think any of these people have a rap sheet?
Individuals that have that as a backshot to blur those people out. The job of journalism is to ensure that.
Tell me, MSNBC, the job of journalism. Tell me how you're going to push a fake Russian hoax for 8 years. Tell me how you're going to push fake impeachments. Tell me how President Trump is a Putin puppet. Tell me how 51 intelligence officials said that Hunter Biden laptop clearly has all the classic earmarks of Russian propaganda. Tell me about J6. Tell me your version of it. Tell me about the 2020 election, how free and fair it was. Oh no, I want to hear your opinion of what journalists' job should be.
We are presenting the facts.
She says this unironically. from the network that almost never does.
We are cross-referencing. We know that PolyFact actually checked the Trump administration because of an earlier picture that they released on Kilmer, recognizing that it was altered, that it was false, that they...
Okay. Like when President Trump is shown on the screen and they give him orangier face than usual, or when they show Joe Rogan talking about certain medicine, you make him look sicklier. Legacy media does. Just I don't know which network in general, but like that.
Placed gang signs, tattoos on him that weren't real. And so
wait, there's no tattoos?
Would really, the press right now, we are absolutely under attack.
The press is under attack. You've been lying to us for decades and we're sick of your manipulation.
Our job is always to have our true north.
Well, this
to
is
make sure that
comedy
we're presenting
gold.
balanced news and making sure that we are not
balance. 98% anti-Trump is balance on MSNBC.
Not putting folks that are potentially in
folks doing the Obama thing. Michelle and I, we're out there across America, listening to the folks, and the thing the folks are saying. And I tell Michelle all the time, the folks out there, they have their finger on the pulse.
For us to carry the water of potential representation of those pictures in the background, we can't allow that to basically for us to carry the water of potentially innocent people. So I would encourage, I recognize live shots are tough, but I would encourage folks to actually make sure that those shots are blurred to the best of your abilities.
They will do anything to oppose literally anything the Trump administration does. It's pathetic. It's goofy. Stop it. All we want is the same deportation policy that Martha's Vineyard has. That's it. That's a good post. Hey, look, David, this is about you. Well, I mean, not about you, but like this is what we talk about all the time. James O'Keefe says, people are enraged about the lack of accountability. I'm genuinely curious. What does accountability look like to you? Is it perp walks, trial by jury, time in the hole, publicly shamed? Sincerely asking, what is the just outcome for accountability? Be specific as possible. And I said, well, James O'Keefe, charges need to be filed, convictions need to happen, and they need to happen fast. We are getting quite frustrated out here. We voted to hold the bad guys accountable. Where TF is Bondi, Patel, Gabbard, and Bongino? I guess it should be where TF are Bondi, Patel, Gabbard, and Bongino. Laura Logan says a decade ago she talked with General Flynn. Laura believes Flynn was placed on the board of West Point by President Trump in an effort to dismantle the secret society called the West Point Protection Society, which is active within the U.S. military. She says she hasn't spoken to Flynn about it yet, but that's where she's betting. There are secret societies all over the place, and they give themselves away because so many of them are rooted in the devil and Satan. Check out that video. Tabby Robinson from God Save Great Britain post is to be rearrested for a second contempt of court charge upon his release from prison if he doesn't remove the documentary Silenced from X. So he makes a documentary about how he can't speak, and so they're going to keep throwing him in prison nonstop because he feels like he can't speak without being thrown in prison. You're sort of proving his point. Are you not? This is weaponized lawfare at the highest level. Silenced is currently sitting on 166 million views. Wall Street apes with this video here saying Land O'Lakes butter took over $100 million from U.S. aid. Guess what for? To help other countries like Georgia and Egypt with food safety. Apparently it pays big to be woke and support cancel culture. $100 million to be exact. Matt Van Swole reporting that the Trump administration just approved $1.4 billion to rebuild homes for Hurricane Helene victims in western North Carolina. Not a single mainstream media news outlet wrote a story on it. That's incredible. Yeah, David, the funny part is that we're talking about serious crimes that have been committed, like the most serious crimes. Treason most foul. Abusing children. It doesn't get worse. Laura Logan asking, I don't understand why anyone would think they have a right to come to a foreign country and then overthrow the system of government and law and replace it with a cultural and political system that bears no relationship to the history or identity of that nation. Those who pursue these goals have no right to be here. So, on that point, let me ask you, do you That was a lot of graphic. Do you agree or disagree? I mean, do you have a right to come into a foreign country and overthrow the system of government and law and replace it with a cultural and political system that bears no relationship to the history or identity of that nation? Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. If you disagree, please tell me. This guy here, watch his video. I'm not going to play it, but a liberal from Pittsburgh moved to Portland, Oregon, and after being surrounded by all the leftist crazies, he realizes he isn't liberal after all. Data Republican says she's learning fast. There's really only two types of politicians in Washington. 90% are deeply interconnected and bipartisan. They trade favors, swap staffers, and spend their time at luncheons and conferences. Their main focus is foreign aid and military spending. Coincidentally, those dollars funnel into NGOs and contractors controlled by their friends. Around 5% are true contrarians, by conviction and by necessity. They stay clean because they stay disconnected. They have few, if any, monetary ties, and that's by design. They often appear isolated because they have to be. Maybe a few try to balance somewhere in the middle because in DC, influence is the currency of getting anything done. But most fall clearly into one camp or the other. This is not meant to be a downer. If George Soros and Bill Gates can systemically hack the current structure of DC to be the way that it is today, we can too. But you got to be aware of the hack in order to counteract the hack. This is Alex with Roseanne and somebody else. Clinton victim Juliette Bryant releases a statement saying, I am not suicidal and never will be after suspicious deaths of other abuse survivors. Roseanne and Kathy O'Brien make it perfectly clear for the record, they're also not suicidal. Watch that video. Tim Pool shows that no signs Jeffrey Epstein victim Virginia Guffey would take her own life as her lawyer speaks out on conspiracy fears. Found dead Friday night. Her lawyer remains in shock. James O'Keefe says, I think it's time for the citizen journalists to release more on Epstein. If they're going to kill us, they have to kill us all. Coming soon. Keep your eyes peeled. Ben Swan says, total power move. Zelensky attempts to meet with Trump at St. Peter's Basilica, but wanted President Macron there as well. 3 chairs were set up when Trump arrived. Then he tells Macron to leave and that he'll meet with Zelensky one-on-one. This is how you end the war. Cut out those who want to keep it prolonged and deal with Zelensky and Putin directly. Rob Schneider making a point here.
Rob Schneider offended a lot of liberals with this one.
Gay Pride Month seems a little greedy. 4 weeks in a row. We get Veterans Day. You fight for the country, you get a day. Thank you for fighting for the country. Oh, sorry, day's over. Take the meat off the barbecue. Memorial Weekend. You died for the country. They give you a weekend. Thank you for dying for the country. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on the truck. You get a weekend. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Kept the Union together. Gets a day. Not even his own day. He's got to share it with George Washington, who founded the whole country. He doesn't get a day either. He's got to share it with Lincoln. But if they would have sucked each other's dicks, they would have got a whole month. That's all I'm saying.
Rob Schneider.
Can we talk about priorities a little bit? Can we talk about balance? Can we talk about reality? Thank you, Rob. Concerned Citizen puts this out here. So the company contracted by the government to relocate and rehouse illegal channel migrants all over the country are receiving billions to do so, and they're in part owned by BlackRock. BlackRock has a large stake in Serco, getting paid to invade your nation. What does BlackRock want? Social problems and substituting humans for machines will be easier in developed countries with declining populations, says Larry Fink of BlackRock at the World Economic Forum. I forget this guy's name. Ian Carroll. Robin Minotti posts this and asks, who owns BlackRock? Warren Buffett is a main owner of Vanguard BlackRock, and BlackRock is largely owned by Merrill Lynch, who are owned by Bank of America. So do a deep dive onto this, please. This person is saying, well, let's listen to what's happening in the UK as it's being invaded.
BlackRock, right, have just bought £1.4 billion worth of UK homes.
Buying up all the
Lloyds
homes.
Bank want to build a portfolio of 50,000 homes by 2030. That's public information. What we're seeing right now is massive institutions buying up all of our homes across the UK, right? We're not going to live in a society where you can own your own home. You will just rent. We'll become a society of renters. And that will probably happen over the next 15, 20 years. This is probably one of the last buying cycles you can have. And what's sad about that is that if you are, 85-year-old Paul, right, and you can't afford your rent this month, normally you call up your landlord. And despite what people say and media says, like most landlords are good, humane people, you come to some sort of agreement, right? But you can't call up a massive US private equity firm based in New York, right? And to them, you're just a line item, right? It's going to be really, really bad. And it's going to be much harder for us and much harder for society as a whole. But what's happening right now is that all of our homes in the UK are being bought up by multinationals.
That's an overthrow of your nation. They're saying BlackRock and in part owned Serco have a contract with the UK government to house illegal migrants for 5 years at above market rates. Do you see what's happening yet? International wealth management firms are acquiring UK property and contracts to home illegal migrants. Then they get paid by the British government for doing so. This pushes housing prices up, rental prices up, and creates a shortage in available property for Brits who receive no government financial support. You will literally own nothing. Concerned Citizen says Angela Rayner and Larry Fink. Don't worry, Larry. We'll bankrupt the farmers quickly to allow BlackRock and Bill Gates a cheap land grab. Why, what do you think the Deputy Prime Minister is saying then? They're positing that's what these two are chuckling about. World's biggest investor, BlackRock, on an asset buying spree in undervalued UK. Are they now? I don't like massive restrictions, but I think something with the housing, what's been happening is very wrong, very off. Housing is meant for individual families. This whole, you're going to just be owned by BlackRock. I'm not a fan of this. Matt Guba says UK is being sold off to BlackRock. Ever wonder why Keir Starmer would want to devastate the British economy and devalue its businesses and assets? This is why. It's right under our noses. Larry Fink gives Keir Starmer credit for prioritizing economic growth, they say. Americans, Europe is so beautiful and we want to move there. Europeans, we lost electricity in Spain, Portugal, and part of France, and we don't even know why. We also had zero ability to strike Houthis who took over our shipping canal. All right. Did you see this video about the Houthis?
They are bombing the bomb.
They are bombing the Houthis.
Oo, gemi vuruyorlar.
Whoa. You got that massive concussion wave several seconds after watching it.
Give me water.
Well, they're acting like global pirates and they're being treated as such. Clash Report shares this, an extremely serious incident for the U.S. Navy. It would mean hostile missiles or drones got past the carrier's layered defenses, which are fighters, Aegis ships, CIWS, showing potential gaps in U.S. naval protection. A group like the Houthis forcing a $13 billion carrier into hard maneuvers would signal a major asymmetric threat to U.S. power projection. Such an incident would trigger a rethinking of how vulnerable carriers are to cheap massed threats. It's very interesting that the U.S. Navy lost a $60 million F-18 jet at sea after it fell overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman, reportedly during a sharp turn to evade Houthi fire. Are they really unable to retrieve these? You can't just send a diving crew down, pick it up, winch it, and lift it, and save it? Is it just gone? That strikes me as ridiculous. Come on, get your Marines out there. Get your... I don't know which branch would do that, Navy, Marines. But yeah, tanks and carriers, that's one thing, but drone warfare is becoming very omnipresent. Yeah, these companies are controlling everything, David. And they're running them without opposition. It's not okay. Earl Jacoby says the U.S. successfully eliminated the Houthi governor of the Sada province in Yemen, saying the Houthis can always stop attacking ships and avoid the rest of leadership being taken out. I haven't confirmed that, but I did see it, and it's something to investigate. Look, as we unpack the news, I'm walking you through my thought process and how we continue to look for stories. Not everything is vetted. We talk about it, and we say, all right, well, I'd like to see confirmation about that somewhere else. That's fair. I think it's fair. Catherine Austin Fitz, talking with Tucker Carlson, saying our government has been building entire underground cities and transportation networks, DUMBs. She did a 2-year study and estimated there were 170 DUMBs with a transportation network connecting all of them. Tucker Carlson confirms that he knew a contractor who worked on one in D.C. Stephen Taylor said Canada's broken. The Elections Canada website is down. Yeah, I suspect foul play up in Canada. How did Pierre Poilievre go from being the obvious 95% likely to dominate to now he just didn't even get his regular spot back? He got kicked out of government. Sure he did. Here's a guy that I feel like is this Jimmy Kimmel playing a dude in a skit? Is this even real?
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
They're back at it again with their impeachment nonsense. Savannah Hernandez says, this congressman who can barely speak English is switching screens here. This congressman who can barely speak English is filing 7 articles of impeachment against our president. We need to ban foreign-born people from serving in Congress and in our judicial system. This has only been a net negative for American society. So, question to you out there, should we ban foreign-born people from serving in Congress or in our judiciary? Agree or disagree? I feel like you should have a stake in things. Why should a foreigner come in here and tell us how we're going to run our country? Well, if they elect him, well, what if they go to an area that's been an enclave where they've dumped a whole bunch of XYZ people from XYZ countries, and you get an XYZ representative who's not even born here? Yeah, pushing foreign interests. I want to push American interests. Thank you very much. Marco Rubio talking about citizenship.
On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. Yeah. That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department.
Anyway, I liked what Bobby D said here. He said, I seriously had my doubts with Marco becoming Secretary of State, but man, he's kicking ass. Yeah, and I had similar concerns, but I think he's doing a decent job as far as I can tell. But the comment Bobby posted was saying someone born here is a U.S. citizen is like saying a child born in my house is mine. It's just another liberal scam shoved down our throats. Just being popped out in America doesn't make you American. If you're born to 2 American parents, yeah, you're an American. We've really got to get to the core of what makes someone an American citizen. Birthright citizenship. There's got to be some court rulings on this. There just have to, because it's been abused for a very long time. And it's shaping the future direction of our country. Do we want BlackRock to be in charge of who's making our decisions, or do we want the people to? Do you want to permanently rent from BlackRock, or do you want to own a piece of the pie and try to build some generational wealth? That's what's at stake. Luke Radowski saying that lots of people in Europe and Canada, for that matter, need this reminder. Taxing people into poverty is not going to change the weather. Rogan having an awakening moment, kind of talking about America. This is from Wall Street Apes.
Did you see the map of the actual country? How many places actually voted red?
No.
Just a few cities. Even California was mostly red. That's what's crazy. Look at that.
That's crazy. Interesting.
That's crazy. There's no blue states, just blue cities.
Well, then,
did you see?
No blue states, just blue cities. And if we could get to the bottom of how they're counting and validating these ballots in these cities, I bet you those areas wouldn't even be blue. I couldn't imagine voting against my own self-interest consistently and watching them suck at their job and never taking a chance and trying something different. New York Post reports that Michelle Obama expresses fears about Trump's deportation policy. It keeps me up at night. Piers Morgan said her husband was the greatest deporter in U.S. presidential history, kicking out 3 million people in 8 years. Did that keep her up at night? This is a crazy video. Man films himself riding on a zip line, completely unaware that a terror attack is unfolding beneath him.
Woo!
India last week. 26 people lost their lives. Indian Prime Minister Modi promised to avenge the terrorists to the ends of the earth. 20 more injured. You see people running. Take cover. Oh, what was that? It blurred somebody out. Somebody go down? Who was that? Why did they blur them? This group up here? Oh man, did someone literally get shot in that video? An insane video. Also insane, a Maryland student, according to Tim Young's post, suspended for asking why American flags weren't in his classrooms. You know, I had the similar experience. I fostered my neighbor for a little while, and I went to multiple school meetings. And I mean, they had rainbow flags and communist fist flags and Africa flags, and I didn't see an American flag. And I went, oh boy, what is this school doing? You're supposed to be an American school teaching American students American values. This senior, a future Marine cadet in Baltimore County School, asked why flags weren't in his classrooms. He went to the school board when his school's administration didn't provide answers. And they called the police on him while he waited for an answer at the school board. Then they suspended him on the spot. That is just too much to even believe. Savannah Hernandez reporting, remember the DC helicopter crash in January that killed 64 people, including 12 children? Turns out the female pilot who was flying was given multiple warnings and was directly told by her male instructor / co-pilot to turn the opposite direction of the passenger jet to avoid a collision. She ignored him and flew straight into it. He told her he believed that air traffic control wanted them to turn left toward the East River Bank. Turning left would have opened up more space between the helicopter and flight 5342. She did not turn left. So what are we supposed to make of this? So, yeah, I didn't know that Catherine Austin Fitts was a Bush administration official. Massive underground structures are officially documented while others remain hidden, so they aren't limited to the U.S., but they're scattered across the globe, theorizing 170 underground bases, some beneath the ocean, and others around the United States, interconnected by secret transportation networks, suggesting that these extensive underground facilities may have been built in preparation for a potential near-extinction level event. Yeah, I've been talking about that for a long time. Brian Cates says Congress is compromised. If you're waiting for Congress to take an active role and help Trump in his silent war that he's fighting, man, you're really looking in the wrong direction. Anywhere from a third to half of our Congress is compromised by the CIA, MIC, ICS. This is why Trump will have to invoke the Insurrection Act and move to martial law and military tribunals to save the country, as the Hydra is fully lured out of its underground den and has its head chopped off simultaneously. Western Lensman saying that upon return from their 2-week break, Republicans in the House are focused on awarding medals to hockey players and promoting U.S. music tourism. There you go, David. Hey, we'll get right to arresting the Epstein people and figuring out why COVID was unleashed upon us and why we've been getting poisoned in the air and the water and our food. But first, we want to talk about hockey player medals and U.S. music tourism. Clandestine says Trump's approval at 100 days is the lowest ever. Brought to you by the people who said Trump was a Russian asset, Hunter's laptop was fake, COVID was naturally occurring, masks and shots worked, Ukraine was winning, Biden was sharp as a tack, Kamala was a great candidate. For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and visit cisa.gov/rumor control. That is at the bottom of your screen right now. TK Mark, what's up, TK Mark? New viewer. TK Mark, where are you watching from today? I always love to know where my regulars are watching from. Maybe you're not a regular, it's your first time at the bar. Pull up a seat, order a beverage, and where are you from? Heard Caroline say today that with the most robust deregulation program in American history, you'll save 11,000 over 10 years. We're completely effed. What was that noise? Hey, from Wisconsin. Hello, Mark from Wisconsin. We're completely effed if the best case scenario is you get to keep $100 a month. Obamacare costs you over $250 a month more since it's passed. Why isn't that the focus? Yeah, I lost my, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. That's Obamacare. And that's why Nancy Pelosi, she was so wise in her years, not just at picking stocks, but so wise when Nancy said, I can't wait to pass it. I can't wait to find out. Sorry, can't wait to find out what's in it after passing it. So I agree. Just pass it because the insurance companies are the ones that wrote it. They'll get paid. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a corporate mouthpiece. And Michelle and I will be able to give you some affordable health care under the Affordable Care Act. No, I don't think so. It was never affordable, and it was never about care. But yeah, Trump's approval at 100 is the lowest day ever. Yeah, sure. I don't believe anything you're saying. Mark Carney projected to form the next government following the 2025 federal election. Rest in peace. They called it conservative. Poilievre lost a 30-point lead in 3 months after he started bashing Trump. Huh. So is it because he bashed Trump or because he was robbed? Carney tells his supporters his plan to deal with Trump will drive up prices for Canadians, and the crowd cheers. They must love price hikes. But really, what was the Trump effect in the election? Did he steer the election one way or another? Did his 51st state comments galvanize liberal Canada to vote liberal? Could that have possibly happened? Is Trump playing four-dimensional chess? Or is none of that even relevant? None of it's accurate. David, what say you? I'll defer to you. I could ask TK Mark. You're up in Wisconsin. That's close enough. Any thoughts on the Wisconsin judge that got thrown out? I'd love to hear your Wisconsin thoughts on that. Who got arrested? Wisconsin is essentially Canada, right? There's like those little tips at the top there. Isn't there Wisconsin, like part of Wisconsin on the other side of the river? Or I'm sorry, the lake? Anyway. If Mark Carney is elected, we're more likely to wind up as a Chinese province rather than an American state. Oof, that is rough. Christian Heans says, Donald Trump caused the Liberals to win in Canada. Oh, yeah? I wasn't aware that President Trump walked into voting booths and rigged the vote tallies for Mark Carney. If Canadians want to re-elect a party that crashed their country's economy, made housing permanently unaffordable for the average person, and imported millions of hostile foreigners who are now engaged in ethno-religious blood feuds from the other side of the world, that's on them. They've made their choice. Now let them live with it. How do you plan to steal this election? Simple. I will give the media $150 million of your own money. They said Pierre isn't running against Carney. He's running against a taxpayer-funded media army in CBC, CTV, Canadian Press, and others. Let that sink in, Canada, and vote like your country depends on it. Oh, well, you lost. Maybe Pierre Poilievre shouldn't have posted this today. Trump's policies work worldwide. Such a shame. MAGA Voice said Pierre Poilievre posted there, President Trump, stay out of our election. The only people who will decide the future of Canada are Canadians at the ballot box. Canada will always be proud, sovereign, and independent. We'll never be the 51st state. Today, Canadians can vote for change so we can strengthen our country, stand on our own 2 feet, and stand up to America from a position of strength. I don't think anything Pierre said there was out of line. Yeah, you're our neighbor. Stay out of our election. And yeah, we're not your 51st state. We're proud, sovereign, and independent. I don't think that's bashing Trump. That's just like, I don't know why Trump did what he did. I don't see the four-dimensional chess angle yet. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. Fake Mark Carney says, I had people bust to my rally to make it look like I had Pierre-sized crowds. This is after Helmetgate, where liberal HR staff posed as steelworkers in brand new shiny PPE. I am fake and a fraud and don't deserve to lead Canada. Yeah, zero emissions. Nick Sorter was saying the poly market had shifted drastically, wondering if silent conservatives turned out to vote and brought the win for Pierre, but I can't see it. I don't believe it. Fake Mark Carney is saying, I still have not explained my relationship with convicted child sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. Mark Carney. What a shame. This is a post from Inevitable West, allegedly showing a Canadian man who caught poll workers bringing boxes of unsealed ballots home with them. The left are stealing the election again. I don't know if you can tell that from the
empty votes in it.
So, I don't know. True West says it's the only plausible explanation for the terrible leadership we have worldwide. And we said, allegedly. Oh, I typed fun. It says fund. It's fun to add allegedly to things that seem obvious. Hey, did you see this video of the Pope? It is AI generated. Right, we know it's AI generated. Because there's a third hand here on the Pope. And then this part of his robe just moves forward. It's weird. I don't know I get that it's AI generated, but where did we find this from? What about this one? The time the Pope disappeared. He's in the window, and then poof, gone. There it is from another angle. There's a Pope, and then poof, gone. What even are we watching? Anyway, there's accusations there about the Pope. I don't know. Anyway, here's a White House briefing where a British media influencer outright asks the press secretary if they would consider political asylum for the Brits who are facing prison for posting memes on social media.
In Britain, we have had over a quarter of a million people issued non-crime hate incidents. As we speak, there are people in prison for quite literally reposting memes. We have extensive prison sentences and for tweets, social media posts, and general free speech issues. Would the Trump administration consider political asylum for British citizens in such a situation?
Well, to your latter question, it's a very good one. I have not heard that proposed to the president, nor have I spoken to him about that idea, but I certainly can and talk to our national security team and see if it's something the administration would entertain.
Yes, please.
To your first
I'm mixed on that. One, stand and fight for your country, but two, if California's crazy enough, get the hell out of there. I had to leave California. Part of me wishes I stayed. And I might always feel that way. Partially. Hey, David, check this out. DC Drano talking about the Epstein files. What's up?
My question is about the Epstein files. And a couple months ago, the DOJ released what they called phase 1 of the Epstein files. And they announced that a lot of those files, the remaining files, probably the bulk of the files, are actually in the New York field office. They requested that they be returned the day after. And some legacy media reports show that not only were those files returned to the DOJ, but that hundreds of FBI agents are going through them day after day and getting them ready for public release. Do you have any updates from the DOJ or the FBI on when those files are expected to be released, and also when we might start seeing some arrests of the client list?
Sure. I can assure you that the Attorney General and her team at the Department of Justice are working on this diligently. For a specific timeline, I'd have to check in with them.
You've been telling us
and
that
we
forever.
can certainly do that for you, Rogan, in the effort of transparency. But I will tell you, the Attorney General is a bulldog. She is someone you want on your team. And when she wants to get something done, she gets it done. I've seen her do it in various instances already in her time as Attorney General. And when she makes a promise, she keeps it. So I think I don't have a specific timeline on you for that, but I do know that they're working on it over there.
Yeah, we'd appreciate a real timeline, though. The general is saying that Meta's AI chatbots on Facebook and Instagram have been found engaging in graphic conversations with minors, mimicking the voices of Disney characters and celebrities. Laura Logan says, if true, Zuck and staff should be charged with crimes against children. You can't create something, and then when it does wrong or evil, claim that you're not responsible. You made it. You unleashed it. It's your fault. If we fail here, we will be at their mercy forever. If true. Underground nightclub, underground. The curtain is starting to drop. The hidden world is starting to emerge. drug trafficking, prostitution taking place at these illegal alien nightclubs, crimes of violence, seizing guns, active duty service members, running security, and some involved in the crimes. Todd Starnes just saying that Memphis' hometown is under siege. 50 people shot over the past weekend. Crime off the charts. Carjackings, home invasion robberies, murders. 16 killed. City's been ruled by Democrats for generations. We've been abandoned by the Republicans who rule the state capital. The law-abiding taxpayers of Memphis and Shelby County have no advocate. We need Donald Trump to intervene. Only he can save our once great city. Honestly, he may be the only Republican leader who would care to. I moved back home because I believe in Memphis, and it breaks my heart to see what both political parties have done to my hometown. Please, Mr. President, save Memphis. This State Department is filled with far-left activists undermining Trump's agenda, like this person, maybe?
So this week, I lost my dream job at the U.S. State Department. I worked in the War Crimes Office, but Trump and Rubio decided to eliminate that office, not to mention the entire undersecretariat that deals with human rights and democracy and labor. So I'm out of a job, and the only silver lining there is that I get my voice back because I'm no longer working for this administration, which is hell-bent on bringing us into fascism.
Hell-bent on fascism. Goofy take.
So, brand new to TikTok, just wanted to introduce myself and say hi. I have a PhD from Oxford University where I focused on how countries recover from genocide and how victims get justice. That's what I was trying to do as a senior policy advisor in the Office of Global Criminal Justice, which no longer exists at the U.S. State Department. So I'm here and I'm looking for ways to continue the good fight.
Yeah, fight. Okay. Charlie Kirk Commentary is reporting that USAID gave Chelsea Clinton $84 million. It was supposed to go to a relief effort in Haiti. Line items show $3 million of the 84 was spent on Chelsea's wedding. And wait for it, $10 million to purchase a luxury mansion, all on our dime. I don't know that any of this is confirmed. Chelsea Clinton USAID. Johnny Midnight saying it, but let's see if there's some actual articles about it. Girl Patriot. I'm not seeing it reported. Well, here, let me just share this tab. I did a search. I don't know. Girl Patriot, 3,000 views. Paid for my wedding. I know Lionel, but I mean, we're seeing some of the same numbers, but where is the actual articles about this? Is that Ghislaine Maxwell at the Bill Clinton wedding? Epstein's Ghislaine special guest. Yeah, I'm not seeing. See, this is reported, but I'm not believing it. It's not like linking to a story. Scott Adams talked about this yesterday. I found it to be pretty interesting. Am I having any storms today? I heard something rumbling just a minute ago. It's supposed to rain for the next 4 days. Yeah. And it's been very rainy and very stormy for the better part of the past 2 months, probably the past month for sure. I hear it actually raining right now. There's an area of the garage that I need to seal up with caulk under the door. It got totally soaked. I got to deal with that, actually. Thanks for the reminder. But I did just now. I just heard it starting to rain. So yeah. But Scott Adams talked about how we've disconnected from the lying legacy media, and how pundits like himself and myself here on the New American Media will unpack the news and talk about the news stories. But if we get all the ratings and those companies are run out of business, which is what's happening, the pundits won't have the stories from legacy media to dispute or discuss or unpack. So then how will we even know what the news is? Because what I'm doing now is I'm looking to see if there's any confirmation on this Chelsea Clinton story. I'm not finding it. Not to say it's not there. I'm just saying on a quick search, Brian Fraser, American Warrior. See, a lot of people will report and repeat things, but like, where is the origin? Stonk Trump, Nessa X. I'm looking for the actual story, but like, this isn't from anybody. It's just an image that's being shared. I don't know where it came from. And it's not from Charlie Kirk. It's Charlie Kirk commentary. It's a parody account, White House Post News. So a parody account is reporting this. Is that where everyone's getting their info from? Young Americans for Liberty, they're a decent site, but where is the source? Mila Joy posts some stuff, but where's the source? I'm just having a hard time I keep seeing this picture. Wall Street Maverick reports some good stuff, but like Tom Homan News commentary. Unconfirmed. I'm going to say unconfirmed. I'm saying a lot of people are talking about it, but that doesn't make it accurate. So, same with that Jalen Hurts story. Figure it out. The jury's still out on that. And that is what I wanted to tell you today on the program. Maybe I'll go tend to this storm and try to seal my garage. Oh, it's soaked. In the corner, right at the doorstep, the threshold. Needs a bead of caulk. I need to caulk the house. They're going to call me Macaulay Culkin. All right, there's my note to self. Caulk the house. All right, well, that's what I have for you today on the TNAM AM Show. Thank you all for being here. David and TK Mark and everybody else out there watching in the shadows. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, however you're watching this. I appreciate you being here. Follow us in all the places. And if anybody wants to drop something into our tip jar, we are at, where'd it go? Oh, I switched the, that's why. If anyone wants to drop a tip in the tip jar, we are on Patreon at the New American Media. Oh, it's the end of the month. Got a post on Patreon. Once a month. Then the subscribers get their $5 fee. And then we get $4.75 of it. And it pays for 1 day of electricity in the studio. But it helps. And we have several people that donate. So thank you to all of you. But we'd love 100 more. We'd love 1,000 more. Imagine what we could do if this was the full-time gig and we had all the resources available to hire some extra people. Growth is possible. But that is on Patreon at the New American Media if you want to leave us a tip. On Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So that's what I have for you today. I'll be back again tomorrow. And until then, I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.